And Tim McMillan is here. Hey, buddy.
G'day, mate. How are you?
I'm pretty good. Having a good week.
Yeah, it's one of those weeks that kind of feels like it's been long and short at the same time, which I know makes absolutely no sense. But
No, I don't know what you mean.
I know, it's one of those things you say and you go, "Oh, that is actually really quite a dumb thing to say." So,
But it's Friday, and that's all that.
it's Friday. That's all that matters.
That's it. That's right. Hey, let's talk about this. This is a pretty funny story. The speed camera warriors is what they're called, I suppose. But what are they doing? They're warning people about speed cameras and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, so these guys have been hitting the streets of Perth for a little while now. They actually call their little band Revenue Raisers Resistance. That's their official title, which is very clever.
Yeah.
They dress up in masks. They kind of look a bit like a cross between the Joker and the Scream masks, you know.
Yeah, right.
So yeah, they're quite comical, and they go out and basically stand in front of speed cameras with massive placards and warn motorists that there's a speed trap coming up.
Is it illegal?
Well, here's the thing. The police commissioner was out speaking about this yesterday and said that, in his own words, they look like the village idiots. But he said they're actually not doing anything illegal. And he actually said, well, if they're going to help motorists to slow down, then I really don't have a problem with it. So the only thing that would be a potential legal issue would be if they were a distraction for drivers or if they were seen to be menacing in any way. But no, look, they're just a bunch of university students who've decided to take a proactive approach to speed cameras and alerting motorists to them. So, but you know, they've been getting massive support on social media. Their Facebook page has just gone crazy. So, and you know, a lot of people you see when they're driving past and give them a toot and a thumbs up and a thanks, mate. So
yeah, good on them.
Yeah, it's exactly. Anyone who's been pinged by a speed trap, especially if it's in one of those areas where you think, oh, come on, you know, it's not a black spot. You're coming down a hill, or you know, the speed limit just suddenly changes. So anyone who's had one of those finds where you genuinely feel a bit hard done by, I think are giving these guys a round of applause. So it's an interesting one. Yep. Interesting to see if it takes off. They reckon just in the last little while since they've been getting all this popularity, they've had about 300 people who want to join their cause and get the mask on and go and stand out there in the street. We don't even have that many speed cameras, so you know, they might be sport for choice there with numbers. But yeah, it's interesting, isn't it?
It's just the worst feeling though when you're driving, you're minding your own business, and then flash, and you're like, oh my God.
Yeah, and you think all the things you could have done with $100, $200, whatever it is you're going to get pinged with. Yeah.
Thumbs up to them, in my opinion. All right. Barnett has announced asset sell-offs to get the state debt under control. Like, what are we talking here?
Yeah, so we're talking a couple of $1 billion worth of assets, the Canning Vale markets, and a couple of port assets as well. One of those up in the northern part of the state, up in the Pilbara. So that is what's on the table at the moment, about $2 billion worth, which is just a fraction of our current state debt, which is in the mid-20s. Billions, that is, and rapidly heading north. So also during the week we had another ratings agencies that downgraded our AAA credit rating from AAA back to AA1. So that's the second major credit ratings agency that's downgraded WA's credit rating in the past 12 months, which it all sounds like a pretty boring, dry topic, but what that essentially means is that, you know, if we then go to borrow money for major infrastructure projects, let's say, here in WA, it means we're not going to get as cheap a line of credit as we otherwise would if we had a AAA credit rating. So they assess our ability to repay that debt, and if we don't have a AAA, rather a slightly lower grade of rating, then they may charge us a higher rate of interest. So it does have a financial impact on the state when we lose that AAA rating. So it's important that we get it back, but judging by the Treasurer, Mike Nahan's words during the week, he said that's unlikely to happen anytime soon. So I suppose they're doing their bit to try to address that debt and try to at least put a few more funds back in the public purse by selling off these assets. But I think the state opposition leader, state opposition treasurer Ben White put it this week. It's basically like taking a telly down to cash converters to try and pay off your mortgage. It's not a fiscal plan. So,
right.
But look, the Premier warns us this is just the start of what could be a fairly substantial asset sell-off.
This weekend, Tim, it's a pretty important weekend for WA footy fans.
Yeah, look, footy fans are in for a real treat this weekend. It's going to be a huge round. There are so many different possible outcomes from this weekend's footy action, but let's just focus on the Eagles and Dockers for the moment. So the Dockers, they are safe, of course. Finals footy is theirs.
Yep.
It's the question of whether they're going to be in the top four, which would obviously guarantee them a second chance should they lose their first finals match. Now, they are playing Port Adelaide. Port Adelaide smashed them earlier in the season, so if they lose to Port Adelaide, they will almost certainly miss out on the top four, and and that double chance in the finals. So that's the scenario for the Fremantle Dockers. They do welcome back Michael Marlowe. He's in the team at least, returning from broken thumb. Not sure whether he's going to take the field or not, but their captain Matthew Pavlich is back, which is great news. The Eagles, there's a few more possible scenarios here, but look, amazingly, they are still in contention for finals footy. They are playing the Gold Coast Suns, which is a match that they should win. If they're going to play finals footy, really, they should be beating teams like the Gold Coast, who are having a bit of a horror run at the moment. Yeah. But they also need a couple of other results to go their way. Sydney play Richmond. Sydney are the top side. They've got top spot all sewn up. It's expected that they might rest quite a few of their key players. If Richmond, who are on a roll at the moment and fighting for a place in the finals, if Richmond beats Sydney in Sydney, that means the Eagles are out.
Okay, big weekend. And just yesterday, I was watching the news, and this massive shark that was spotted off Cottesloe, I believe. Huge shark, hey?
5 metres, yeah. It was first spotted off Cottesloe about 400 metres out, so not too far away, probably beyond where most people would go for a swim, but you get people who go out for a bit of a paddle and a surf who head, maybe not 400 metres out, but not too far off. Yeah, monster 5 metre great white was spotted just to have a little bit of a swim around.
Wow.
And we caught up with one surfer who was out there in the water who came closest to it. He had no idea it was there, but when we told him and showed him some of the pictures, he was one very relieved man. First time he'd been for a surf in ages too, because the weather was pretty warm, especially for this time of year.
Yeah.
They thought he'd take the board in, and then when we showed him the pictures, he was like, "Wow."
So where is it now? Where's the shark now?
Well, it was seen heading south, so it was spotted Freo way that same afternoon. It hasn't been sighted since, but as of a couple of days ago, we'd had 7 different sightings or detections of great whites off Perth beaches in a fortnight. So they're out there. This was the one that was closest to shore. So they're out there at the moment. Of course, all of this happens while the drumline debate rumbles on too. Of course, no drumlines in the water at the moment. The state government hoping to put them back in November, but still waiting for the go-ahead, the green light from the Federal Environment Minister for that. So, it's just interesting that we're having all these sightings of great whites at the moment when there are no drumlines in the water. And, of course, when the drumlines were in the water last summer, didn't get a single white pointer at all.
Coincidence or not?
Well, the experts would say that over the real peak of summer is not the time to see too many great whites out there because they're fairly migratory animals, so they shift up and down the coast. So you're probably more likely to see it around this time or leading up to summer than you would be right in the heart of summer.
Yeah, fair enough. All right, we'll see you on news
but
tonight.
You stay out of the water anyway, mate.
I'll
be safest option for you.
We'll see you on the news tonight at 6 o'clock. Thanks, Tim.
Thanks, mate.